The human race has suffered a terrible blow to its numbers. It isn't as strong as it used to be, but a long time ago, the ingenuity, the determination, and the strength that humans possessed allowed them to make strides in advancement in a relatively short time. Of course, they had help from the Traveler, a being some praise as a savior, and others paint as a being of corruption. There are enemies taking hold of what was once held dear, and we, humans, Exo, and Awoken, cannot let them corrupt what is left. To understand what evils lurk in our solar system, and what perils we will face in the times ahead, we must first understand where we came from. My name is Calcum89, an Exo forged for a purpose long forgotten, but repurposed to preserve the history of mankind. I am Keeper of the Grimoire.
Many stories begin with a prologue. The Golden Age is exactly that. It was a time that began a new volume in the tomes of human history. The Traveler came to our solar system, and it was a gift that made way for the Golden Age. Cities were built on Mars and Venus. Mercury blossomed into a luscious garden world, and even human life grew into its own. Lifespans tripled. There were technologies made then that are considered rare and precious today, true relics of a great time long past. The Golden Age was an era of prosperity and enlightenment. Protecting this era were the Warminds, sentinel-like intelligences that stretched across thousands of war satellites. Unfortunately, mankind's final mark in history wasn't the Golden Age. Paradise eventually fell, and its conqueror was the darkness. It crept into our solar system. The darkness is a presence that lurks around and stalks the Traveler, and it has done so since before our system was completely woven into the galactic tapestry. There are a number of theories as to what exactly the darkness is. One idea is that the darkness is a force, an actual manifestation of evil. Another theory suggests the darkness is made up of an alien force of tangible power. Those who support this theory believe this force came about from species tossed aside by the Traveler, possibly for their sins. Certain positions, often seen as far-fetched, imply that the Traveler was the catalyst for the collapse, or possibly that it knew the darkness was coming for it, and hoped to use the solar system as a sacrifice or some sort of defense. The true explanation of what the darkness is and where it came from remains a mystery. But in the aftermath of its arrival came many changes to our system. The darkness is like a plague, a sickness that spread throughout our system and caused what were the greatest achievements of mankind to crumble. This perilous time is known as the collapse. Cities mankind built as testament to how far it had come. Research conducted to better understand our vast and expansive universe. Centuries of effort to ascend further into greatness were all snuffed out. On Earth, the Cosmodrome was a port between the planet and Earth's moon. It was here man was able to reach the stars, but it suffered the wrath of the darkness. And Earth's moon was not immune to the sting of war that had been waged from the great evil. Venus too felt shockwaves of the collapse. The scientific project known as the Ishtar Collective remains in bits and pieces on Earth's sister planet. Secrets surrounding it that have been a point of interest for many. Mars. Mars fell hard. Its once great cities now lay in ruin, buried beneath the red sand. The Traveler did what it could to protect those fighting the alien scourge, and in doing so, in its dying breath, the great giant gave its last bit of power to aid those taking up arms to defend Earth. That power is known as light, and it shines ever so bright. Along with this came the ghosts, Mechanical intelligences fused with light to search among the dead for a force to take on the darkness. Those chosen are forged in the Traveler's light and are known as Guardians. Titans, defenders of the light that strive for honor and stand for hope, waging war against the darkness. Hunters, scouts that stalk the wilderness beyond the city to reclaim secrets of our lost worlds. Warlocks, warrior scholars of the light, devoted to understanding the Traveler and its power. These heroes are charged with saving humanity, becoming legend along the way. The Traveler now sat silent, and mankind was fighting to survive during this dark age. However, it would be a mistake to only mention mankind during this time. The Awoken, humans that fled the plight of the darkness during the collapse, re-emerged from the blackness of space, forever changed by a cosmic event that forever haunted their eyes. Exos, including myself, crept from the shadows and marched alongside the refugees, unable to forget the horrors we'd seen. We were made as self-aware war machines at the decline of the Golden Age, but during the Dark Age, many Exo felt without a purpose. This wasn't the case with every Exo, nor the humans, nor the Awoken. Many took hold of the Traveler's light to combat the darkness. Those who could manage it took refuge beneath the Silent Traveler, seeking solace during a time of vast suffering and terrible evil, and not just from the darkness, but the wickedness that corrupted the hearts of some of mankind's last survivors. There's no particular year the City Age began. Many believe it was when the Titans raised the first wall. Others think it began during the first successful defense against a coordinated attack against the city. It was no easy feat keeping those within the walls safe. Warlords and wilderness fiefdoms clung to power. Starvation, disease, both were crippling points to the desperate struggle to keep mankind going. But anarchy made things worse. A series of conflicts known as the Faction Wars brought the city to its knees. But when the chaos grew intolerable, a gathering of Guardians fought to end the conflict and bring peace. With it came a new order, the City Consensus. The Speaker, voice, watcher, and healer of the Traveler, and the Consensus ruled together in the Tower, home of the Guardians, with the Vanguard acting as a command structure for those who aim to become legend. Some factions earned their seat among the Consensus, including Dead Orbit, New Monarchy, and Future War Cult, each with its own ideology and cause. Others, like the Concordat, were ejected from the Consensus in order to disband. But once peace prospered throughout the city, the Guardians helped to maintain and protect it from the alien terror that lurked outside the city walls. And among them did legends walk. Although now they train Guardians in the Crucible for the fight against the darkness, Lord Shax and Lord Saladin are two of many Guardians that fought to defend the city during the Battle of the Twilight Gap, a moment in history that left many Guardians dead. But they live on in the form of a great weapon, gifted to those who survived the onslaught brought by the combined forces of the ruthless scavengers, the Fallen. The Fallen arrived on their massive ships in the wake of the collapse, looting and pillaging our devastated worlds. They lurk about the old Russian cosmodrome on Earth, seeking something buried beneath the surface. Some fear what they find could lead to the city's undoing. But these were not the only foes we faced. It was during the City Age Guardians eventually began to venture back to Earth's moon, where most believe marks the first off-Earth colony. But what was supposed to be an opportunity to further develop mankind's space age became shredded and tore from the crust by the ravenous hive. Guardians saw and continue to see Venus and its ancient ruins as an opportunity to retain some of our surviving knowledge of the planet, the Ishtar Sink region being the primary focus. But we weren't the only ones interested. A faction of the Fallen saw opportunity as well, but much like us, they would run into the mechanical menace known as the Vex. Freehold was a realm of wonder on Mars, It was an industrious city in the Meridian Bay that inspired many to move there and begin constructing, building, inventing. But those endeavors were crushed under the might of the Cabal, the greatest known military force in the solar system. These enemies that draw their strength from the darkness, where do they come from? To whom do they swear their allegiance, if any? What are their objectives? I have those answers and other stories I have yet to tell you, such as the demigod lurking beneath the dead star eye, the awoken queen with betrayal in her midst, and how I came to be keeper of the Grimoire. For those are all chapters of the Grimoire that I will share with you another time.
Weasel Egg.